Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a really fun show for you guys that I'm really going to enjoy getting into. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into this show right here. Now, as y'all know, Kobe is my favorite player of all time. I never hid that. Pisses off a lot of people. They want me to say this guy, say that guy. No, I think Kobe Bryant is one of the top 3 players of all time. Some people disagree with me. I think he's right there. I got him up there with Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I got Kobe right there. That's my trio right now. As y'all know, I had to take off some time to attend to a family matter, and I'm just kind of catching up to what's been going on. Yesterday, a video was suggested to me. I believe it was by 2 Off for Sports or 2 Off for TV. One of the he owns the same. It's the same channel. It's the same platform. Excuse me. So I was watching this show, and they were talking about on his thumbnail. It was talking about LeBron and Kobe, and as he was talking about the disrespect that Kobe has been getting over the years. Right? He's been talking about that. We all know this. Kobe is probably the most disrespected top 10 player, or one of the most disrespected top 10, top 5 players of all time. I've never seen such a concerted effort to basically strike Kobe's name off the record books and just act like as if he never existed, right? Like to blatantly, act like he never was there, right? It's one of the reasons like Allen Iverson was like, yo, what's going on? Like, why? Like, did Kobe Bryant play? Did he play basketball? Like, am I missing something? Why so many people disrespecting Kobe, right? So a lot of people have been surprised by that. Shaq has said the same thing. A lot of people, but it's obvious that that's something that the media definitely has been trying to do. But anyway, he was then making a point about, them talking about the disrespect when Donovan Mitchell scored at 71 points. And they were talking about some of the, the greatest scoring outputs, performances. And he was saying that he was so surprised that they didn't mention the name of Kobe, right? No one brought up Kobe's name in an era where there's more pace and possessions. And it caused me to, do some research for myself. And really, it was after doing this research that it prompted us to produce, this particular show here. And it was only after I started combing through the data that I really saw, that I really understood the significance, in fact, of what he was talking about. And it's a major one, right? It's a major one. To me, I think the greatest score I've ever seen apart from Jordan is Kobe, and I don't think it's close. I think maybe another guy up there is Kevin Durant, but I don't think Kevin Durant plays with the level of aggressiveness offensively that Kobe played with. But there was nobody. The only guy I can say, man, this guy was just as good, or maybe he was right there on par with him, was Tracy McGrady. If you saw Tracy McGrady play, you saw Tracy McGrady play. Tracy McGrady was an incredible offensive player, and he was a two-way player. T-Mac could actually play defense. He was the one guy I was like, man, Tracy McGrady is incredible. Some people were really enamored by James Harden. I thought James Harden was a chuck and a 1 or 2 trick pony. He had the step back 3, and he had that crossover dribble. In most cases, he would carry. He would carry the ball and travel. James Harden would travel all the time. And I just didn't think that was beautiful to watch. And then I couldn't understand why a guy that had 1, 2, 3 moves, y'all are telling me that he's better than a guy that was probably the most complete offensive player in the history, arguably the most complete offensive player in the history of basketball, right up there with Michael Jordan. I couldn't understand what people were talking about. But of course, people weren't digging deeper into the numbers. When James Harden averaged 36 points per game, James Harden was attempting 12 threes a game and making about 4. So I went to basketballreference.com and I started digging through some of the stats. And what I saw there really, really surprised me. And it put into context what we're witnessing in today's NBA. And you know what? After going through the data, I've come to the conclusion that what these guys are doing, it's impressive within itself, what these guys are doing in terms of from the offensive side of the floor. But to be quite honest with you, given the fact that defense is not really emphasized in today's game, there's so many more possessions. Teams are taking so many more threes. I'm just not impressed with with all of these guys scoring all of these points, to be quite honest with you. So I started to look at the pace, right? And of course, as I said before, the definition of pace is an estimate of possessions per 48 minutes. In 2005, 2006, it was 90.5. In 2007 to 2008, it was 91.5. 96.9, then it went to 92, then 91.7, 92.7, and then it went to 92, then it went to 91, then it went to 92. And then in the year 2000, let's say 14, it went to 93.9, then it went to 95.8, 96.4, 97.3. And then in the 2018 season, it went to 100 and then 100. And then ever since, it's been at 98, 99. It's so much easier to score in this NBA. So much easier. If you think of the year, let's look at some of these years for a second. In the 2005, 2006 season, that season, Kobe Bryant scored 35 points per game. In that season, the average possessions per game were 90. 90 possessions per game per 48 minutes. Kobe was essentially averaging, and I think that year the Lakers were scoring in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Kobe was averaging about 35, 36, 37%, was accounting for percent of the points for his team. That's ludicrous. Nowadays, you can see a guy get 50 and a score be like 140. So it's not the same. To me, Kobe Bryant was the most dominant scorer since Michael Jordan. And Isaiah Thomas, the Detroit Pistons legend, he perfectly summarized the definition of a dominant scorer. He said, if you score 30 points and your team scores 120 points or 30 points, that's not a dominant 30. He said, but if you score 30 and your team scores 100, that's a dominant 30 points that you just scored in that game. And to me, that's the fundamental difference. Kobe was doing that at a time where you actually had to play defense, where you had Shane Battier, Ron Artest, Tony Allen, Bruce Bowen. You had so many great defensive players in the game. You know, teams actually had to play defense. And he was putting up those type of numbers. It was cartoonish. And it made me realize, can you imagine what Kobe would average if he were to be playing in today's NBA? Could you imagine how many points Kobe would have? Kobe Bryant would average about 40 points per game in this current NBA. About a cool 40 points. There's no offensive player playing today that could score the basketball like Kobe. There's nobody. There is that especially can do it at a consistent rate. Kobe scored 40 points, for 9 straight games. 9 straight games, and he scored 62 points in 3 quarters. In 3 quarters, and outscored an entire basketball team in the Dallas Mavericks that eventually, I believe, went to the NBA Finals that year. So it wasn't like as if he was doing that against garbage teams. No, he was doing that against good teams, and he was putting up those numbers. To me, I thought, after watching this show and I kind of combed through some of the data, that was a really staggering stat for me. I could not believe the importance of pace and how it puts the scoring of today into context. It really puts into context what we're looking at. What these guys are doing from an individual standpoint, it is impressive. Yes, it is, because it's not easy to do that. But it's a lot easier to do it in this present NBA than it was to do it 10 years ago or 20 years ago. There's no arguing that. Literally, you can't. You just can't argue the data. So these are my thoughts and opinions on this. What I want to know from you guys is simply this. Do you think that Kobe is the most dominant offensive player since Michael Jordan? And what do you think his numbers would be if he played in this modern NBA? And how do you think teams would be able to stop him? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.